Hey, so I want to share an experience I had when it was snowing. I left early in the morning to head into Salem, and yeah, so I want to just talk about an experience because I felt like it was very symbolic, and I don't know, maybe it will just provide some kind of like insight to someone or whatever. So I before I even share the experience, I want to share two verses in Isaiah. So one is Isaiah 43:19. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. I will even make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. And 48:17 also in Isaiah. I am the Lord your God, who will lead you the way you should go. So I'm driving, and I know it's going to be messy. Like, people are posting all over social media that it's a disaster, so on and so forth. So I make sure to leave early. And as I'm driving, there's like cars that are pulled over. There's cars that can't make it up hills. The back roads especially are really bad. They're like they don't even look like they've been touched like by a plow. And so I'm driving really slow. And then all of a sudden the road turns to completely plowed. It's just like pavement, like it didn't even snow. But the other side of the street is still a disaster. And so I was like, oh, wow, this is sweet, right? Awesome. So continue to drive. And then I kind of just have this moment, and it like hit me, and I was like, wow, this is super like symbolic of receiving God's grace and favor, and grace is unmerited favor. And ultimately I'm just like, wow, awesome, right? And so I just want to also say that doesn't mean that everyone who was driving in who didn't have a completely plowed road to drive on, that doesn't mean they don't have grace or favor. I just really feel like this was something that happened in my case because I was meant to receive this insight and have this impact by the experience. So anyways, I'm driving and I'm just like kind of like blown away by this, right? Like this grace and this favor and this, was awesome. And I continue to drive and I end up behind the plow. And now the plow is going really slow. There's a whole slew of us driving behind this plow going like 20, 25 miles an hour, slower at times. And I'm just cool. Like I'm chilling, like I'm driving. I'm not even fazed by it, honestly. Like I didn't feel rushed. I had left early, so I had time. I wasn't annoyed. Now go back. I probably would have been, but I'm just kind of in a different place right now where I have more, I don't know, peace and like acceptance of what is as it is. So, and that impacts you in whatever situation you're in. So I'm driving and then I begin to notice, I didn't even really think about that until I began to see, other cars in front of me. As they would like speed off in front of this plow and take off. And as it happens a couple times, I have like this other insight and I was like, oh, wow, this is also super symbolic, right? Like, people don't like feeling restricted. People don't want to feel like they're on this straight and narrow path. People want to do their own thing in their own time, in their own way. And so you have these people like taking off. And I was like, okay, super symbolic of walking with God. And, but then I have this other side of it, which is the experience I have now, which is that, yeah, it could feel that way. And it has felt that way for me before. But really, even though I was going slower, and that can be that I've definitely felt that before, like where you're waiting on God for things, or you have to have patience in things, and you're not being impulsive or making these swift changes in your life, and you're praying about it first, and you're waiting for pieces to align before you just try and like create without guidance. It's just I've lived in both ways, and it's hard to explain unless I were to just break down specific examples and experiences, which maybe someday I will. But ultimately, I just had this other experience of feeling guided, and like I could trust this way, and I felt protected and safer. And so it was like, it didn't matter that it was slower. It didn't matter that it was restricted, because there was like all this other benefit that I was receiving from it. So it's like perspective, it's how you experience something, how you see it. And so, yeah, I guess that's really all I wanted to share, just this experience and like how it impacted me, and that I, just really appreciated and saw that, my own experience has changed. And ultimately, God speaks to us how we're going to listen. And I just posted about this. God will speak to us through people, through experiences, through dreams, through TV shows, through quotes, through anything really, because it's not about the thing, it's about the impact that we receive from it. So when something has a profound impact on us and it's enough to, change our perspective, our the lens in which we see through, it's enough to change our heart, it's whatever it may be, when it has a profound impact like that, you can guarantee that God is in it. And so ultimately, while this is just a brief story about, driving in the snow and there being a plow and having the road plowed, the experience of it really spoke to me and reminded me that that walking with God is different, and that while some people may see it as restrictive or narrow, like a narrow path, I now experience the other side of that, which is being guided, feeling safer, feeling protected, and for me, and having peace with it. And that for me is and has been, especially lately, really mind-blowing to me. I have been experiencing a lot of different situations recently that have just reminded me of when we're walking with God, even when, because we're not perfect, right? None of us. When we make mistakes, when we mess up, he just, like, he is there. And again, maybe I'll share other, more specific examples so you can grasp what I mean. But ultimately, that's all I wanted to share. And so I hope you are well. Take care. Have a good night.